Hi everyone and welcome back to Prospects Live at the MLB Draft Combine. And I'm joined by a very special guest, Elon pitcher Justin Mitrovich. So Justin, how's the Combine experience been for you so far?
Well, first, thanks for having me. It's been great so far. Everyone I've met has been really cool, and it's been a very good experience overall.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed my time, and I'm doing all the testing and stuff now, but everything's going well so far, and they've been very open arms, and it's been very good stuff.
Yeah, and you actually threw at the Combine too. That was yesterday, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How did that go in your eyes?
I thought it went well overall. I was trying to just work my stuff and kind of work middle. I'd have the catcher set up on the 2/3 a little bit just to get some sightseeing, but I 4 pitches were in the zone, so I was happy with that, and velocity was there, like it was in the season, so that was also a good sign, and I felt pretty good out there, so it was a lot of fun.
You looked like yourself out there. My biggest note, I take notes on all the guys you throw out. My big one was just command's great, man. You're spotting up out there with 4 good pitches, so we'll get into those in a little bit. The first thing I kind of want to talk about is, man, you're a workhorse this year. At 89 innings, what do you have to do to prepare your body for that kind of workload in a season? Yeah,
it starts with the routine. That's the biggest thing. Once you have a routine that you like and you can stick with, then you just make small little tweaks throughout the weeks. Yeah. So if you have a bad outing, you'll go back and tweak some stuff through the routine. It won't completely change, but it'll be little things here and there. And then you go about it a little bit differently. And each week's a little different the way you go about it. Some weeks are a little bit less, some weeks are a little heavier. So it really just depends. And then also the workload. As you get later into the season, you start throwing a lot more pitches, and stuff starts to build. So you might dial back some of your catch plays so you'd be able to be sharp later in the week. But it's just the variability and changing a little bit week by week, but keeping a solid routine from the start.
Yeah. Do you have a specific go-to recovery method? Some guys are contrast, hot tub, cold tub, stuff like that. Some guys are just training room, get it rubbed out, figure it out. Do you have a specific kind of thing to get you going on the right path?
Well, so the day after I won't throw. So I like doing that. I'm a big fan of that. I think it's you either throw the next day and take that following day off, or don't throw the next day. And that's kind of what I like. Recovery-wise, I ride the bike from anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes, and then I do some light stretching the day after. So that helps me out, and it's been the start for each week. And then the day after that, I'll throw and hit a lower body. So that kind of gets me on the right page to move forward.
Absolutely, man. I want to talk about your revenge game versus William and Mary. It stands out, and to call it a revenge game might be too far, but that's how I saw it when looking at the numbers, right? A tougher outing the first time around when you faced them, and then you came out, guns a-blazing against them in the playoffs and won that game with your backs up against the wall. 5 innings of 1 hit ball, right? Or no, sorry, that was later in the season. I guess William and Mary in the playoffs, how did you kind of go into that outing, and was it a revenge game in your eyes?
Nah, I mean, I try to treat every game the same. I try to go about my work the same way. I try to get the same job done. Yeah. But I will say the playoffs was a little different because that's when it matters the most. Yeah. So going into that, you subconsciously know that, as a player, and you try to treat every game like a playoff game. You try to treat every game like a championship game, but subconsciously it's a little bit more important. Yeah. So I think that helped me out a little bit, but it didn't really matter the team. In my head, I kind of was trying to do the same thing I would have done against any other team.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a trend within your outings of you perform really well when the lights are really bright, and that's not something that you can necessarily train, right? And then that goes to my next point is A&M, right? 5 innings, 1 hit ball to open up the season. What was that experience like?
Yeah, that was something. I had never really experienced anything like that before. Just the sheer fans. That was a very unique and cool experience. I've never been in a stadium where it's been completely packed out, and you have people heckling you and stuff. But it was a lot of fun, and it's unfortunate that we lost that game, honestly, and the series. But it was still a very unique experience, and I was pretty grateful for being there.
I mean, a lot of close games in there, and A&M, people right away picked up on wow, A&M is getting competed against this a good Elon team, so it was really cool to watch. I kind of want to go into pitch groups now. There's a baseball right behind you, I think.
Yeah.
So you got the 2 fastballs, the slider, and the changeup. Do you want to start off with the 4-seam fastball?
Yeah, it's pretty generic, and it's like most people's 4-seam, honestly. But I do go horseshoe in. Some people go horseshoe away.
Absolutely.
I go horseshoe in. It's kind of just been natural.
Yeah, and you get some ride on that.
A little
obviously.
bit. Yeah. And then my sinker is pretty. Not generic, but it's not anything crazy. Yeah. I do throw a 2-seam. I don't throw like 1-seam. And then I'll have like a little, not pressure on the index finger, but I'll get this like working before I throw it.
Yeah.
And then my thumb's just right under the ball. I mean, right under my index finger.
So you've got that split, which we can see in the velo difference, right? It kind of plays a little bit off of your fastball. Have you ever tried going tight, and why didn't that work for you?
I haven't tinkered with it a ton.
Yeah.
I kind of got something that I liked,
and
I could throw.
And don't mess it up.
For consistency reasons. But I think I'm very open to the idea of trying new things with it. It's more just so it kept off like a 2-0 count. I could just sink it and
absolutely
induce a ground ball. So that's kind of more the thought process behind it than anything.
Do you care too much about like the axis when you're throwing that pitch, or are you more so just like, let's just grip and rip this thing?
Well, so working with like TrackMan and stuff, I care about that stuff, and I want to get it in a good spot. But during the game, it's grip and rip. And you have the right frame of mind of where you want to put it, and let your body do the work. But it really, in the game, it's more just competing, and then out of the field, it's more like developing it.
If you practice it enough, you'll have the axis right in game. You don't have to think about, where's my hand at in space in the same way, right? Let's move on to that slider.
Yeah, so it's a little different, honestly. I always have the logo facing in my hand, and I'm kind of on the side of the ball, and I cork my finger.
Okay.
And I create a little bit of space between the two. Yeah. Because the further out, it's more cuttery, and then the further in together, like it's more slidery.
Absolutely.
And I just kind of throw it like a heater. And I try to stay on the right-hander's batter's box and just kind of rip it there and let it do its thing.
Are you throwing it? So you say you're throwing it like a heater. Does that mean you're kind of on the inside or the outside of the ball? One would say, and so you're just throwing it down and allowing it to kind of play off.
Yeah. So you want to just stay closed as long as possible, and naturally it's going to come off this finger like that, and it slides. Yeah, I mean, part of being able to do that grip is you got to have the big hands, right? Not a lot of people can do it. I know Brash kind of founded that with Pitching Ninja a couple of years ago with putting your fingers like that. Yeah.
So that's really. How did you settle on that grip?
Well, so actually, my buddy who shout out to Nolan Trinero, but he taught me this kind of grip. Yeah. He kind of holds it, I think, a little bit more on the side. Yeah. But he throws his rather pretty hard. So I was asking him a bunch of questions, and we kind of worked it out to where it's kind of like that. Yeah.
So especially something really cool about the hard kind of cutter slider variation is you can open that thing up if you want to. It's really hard to go from this big slider to kind of tightening it up or whatnot. So you have like the firm, breaking ball that organizations are honestly looking for, right? And then you can obviously tweak it if necessary. But I think that's really cool how you kind of have a different grip than most people do. Yeah. Moving on to the changeup here. Changeup looked really good the other day. How do you throw that thing?
Yeah, so I throw like a 4-seam grip. I don't circle it really. I like half circle it, and then I have my thumb underneath it. Okay. And my thumb kind of like helps me control a little bit, but I already have like the kind of like movement in my head of what I want it to do. So I have just enough natural feel to kind of put it where I want.
Yeah, so I noticed you didn't have your fingers on the actual lace for the 4-seam. Is that something just with feel? You don't need that kind of extra?
Yeah, it's just feel. I mean, if it was here, I could still do it, and if it was like back more, I could still do it. It comes off feel.
Absolutely. And then are you kind of deeper in your palm, or are you more out on your fingertips when you're throwing that?
I'd say deeper in the palm. I have a lot of pressure on the 3 fingers, and so I naturally like pronate pretty well. And so I used to throw a 2-seam one, and then before I got to college, my coach recommended I do 4-seam because I throw a 4-seam heater, and so I just slightly moved it over, and that's kind of what it turned into.
Absolutely, so now, kind of just a hypothetical question here. You got the 4 pitches. Let's say you're going to go 1, 2, 3, strikeout on a batter. How are you setting them up? How are you sequencing that thing? Like your dream strikeout right here.
Well, so for a lefty, because lefties I throw a lot of changeups too. So if I can, I'll start off with a breaking ball, kind of just get ahead of the count, and then I'll go like heater inside, get their eyes working in, and if it's a little bit up, I'm completely cool with that. And then I'll go changeup off that, and if, in a perfect world, if it's 0-2, I get that swing and miss in that changeup 0-2, and if it's 1 1-1, get a swing and miss on the changeup, and then I have a heater up or a changeup back or go back foot slider. So
plenty of things to work on.
Yeah, that's a perfect world, but yeah.
Yeah. You have an arsenal that plays really well to both sides. I actually just want to go back to the changeup for 1 second. You got it pretty dang close to 0 vert yesterday. Is vert something you're chasing on your changeup, or is that just kind of a happenstance with how you throw it?
It's just how I throw it. It's more just natural. Yeah. Sometimes the vert's a little higher, and there's sometimes where it's 6 to 8, and sometimes it's 0. But honestly, it's the speed difference, and the horizontal helps a good bit. But it's mostly a speed difference and when to throw it. Because if you could throw it in an 0-2 count, 1-1 count, throw it in a hitter's count, and if it's straight but way slower, you still get some swing and miss on it.
Absolutely.
So that's the biggest thing. Is just the speed differential.
Yeah. I want to talk about your mentality on the mound. Are you kind of a guy that runs a little hotter? Are you more calm, collected, cerebral? Are you a thinker on the mound? Kind of what's going on inside your head when you're pitching?
It's more it's a mixture of a little angry, and then it's also being like calm at the same time. In between innings, I'm controlling my breathing. I'm controlling my mind before I got to the next inning. And then when I'm actually facing the batter, it's more like go, and kind of like I already kind of know what I want to do. Also, based on reports, I read them before the games, and I go through a little bit of video leading up to the game. So I already have a rough understanding of what I want to do for most of the game. And then it's just executing at that point. So
absolutely. So talking about kind of almost channeling your anger. Are you a guy who has a chip on your shoulder because you are a mid-major baseball player, and that's obviously great, and you're here, right? But do you have a little bit of chip on your shoulder, maybe you've been passed up or past performances? What kind of keeps you motivated, and what kind of is the foundation of that targeted anger on the mound?
Well, I would say my dreams are definitely one thing that keeps me motivated. But I honestly think I saw at a young age where if I played more angry or played with some sort of edge, I had performed better. And so I'm not a naturally, angry person or anything.
You seem like a real a-hole.
But when I go in the game, it's all right, well, I only have 1 to 9 innings to throw per week. So I'm going to go out there and, make sure my mind's sharp. And that's what drives success for me personally. So gaining some sort of edge, and that's kind of what it turned into.
It's really cool that you figured out what worked for you and you stuck to it, right? Because a lot of guys teeter between really high, really low, emotional on the mound or whatnot. You found out what worked for you, and I think that's a big underrated part of pitching. Kind of my last baseball specific question here is the mental side of pitching, right? How do you deal with failure in a sport that is so harshly based on failing time and time again?
Yeah, it starts with routine. That's a big one. It starts with your routine. I also, especially my freshman year and in the years prior, I started working on my mental side a lot more. And so that's helped me out a lot. But it starts with your routine. It's something you can trust. And like I said, you make little tweaks here and there. And then once you have that trust in your routine, you can, mimic it into the game. And then when things don't go well, which it happens, your routine's solid because it worked in the past. And you just kind of make little tweaks to, keep going. But I think once you trust that, and then make sure your mind's sharp and always keeping some sort of edge like we were talking about. It's each inning in each game, I think it's 0-0. I never think it's we're up 6-2 or whatever. I always keep it 0-0 in my head because that little pressure makes it so you're never keep taking your foot off the gas.
That consistency, man, is really impressive. It really is. I guess I have one more baseball question for you here. What kind of statistics do you care about? So, first pitch strike percentage, first 2 out of 3, stuff like that. What stats are you looking at to kind of gauge where your performance is?
Yeah, so definitely walks. If we won or not, that's the most important. Because if we won, doesn't matter how you threw. We won. We did something right. If we lost, all right, let's take a look back. Let's see what you did wrong. Maybe you threw well that day. Maybe you didn't. But let's still go back and see how we can fix it. Because you kind of let the game dictate of what you need to do for that day. So if it's a high-scoring game, all right, we need to get as many outs as possible, get us off the field, get zeros. And maybe it's a really low-scoring game, and it's 1-0 or it's 1-1. You got to keep it as close as possible. So I think that's one thing. What was
so let's even go over the TrackMan side too. It seems like you're knowledgeable on that side as well. What kind of things are you looking for?
Yeah, well, also I kind of forgot the question
Yeah.
for a
No,
second.
you're all
But
good.
to go back also a little bit, winning 0 counts, winning the 1-1s, and winning 0-2s and 1-2s and 2-2s, especially in 3-2-2. So like those are also statistics I worry about.
So you look at basically your statistics by count as well.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's because it's more like those are the ones you get the best results in. So you want to get to as many of those as possible.
Yeah.
If you get to a bunch of 0-2 counts, the game becomes a lot easier as a pitcher. And so how do you do that? You win your 0s, you win your 1-1s, so that kind of thing. And then from the TrackMan side, I make sure my stuff can stay consistent. Yeah. When it's spiked, when you have a good spike day, you're like, okay, like cool, but that's not going to be every week.
Yeah.
But when you have a down week, you kind of want to see like, hey, like what was different? Like, was I opening up or was I, doing something different with my arm? So I think that's more what it comes down to, the TrackMan stuff.
Yeah, just having a well-rounded approach and taking the information in, but not letting it dictate who you are or whatnot. Absolutely, man. I got some more kind of rapid-fire non-baseball questions now to kind of get to know you a little more personally. First one is going to be pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Me personally, no. But I'm not a huge fan of pineapple, but to each their own.
Okay. What's the pizza order and what's the go-to pizza spot?
I like just plain, but I also like pepperoni. I also like mushrooms. Sausages.
Versatile.
Yeah, versatile.
Yeah.
If someone put pizza in front of me, I'd probably eat it. But yeah, it's good overall.
How about your karaoke song if you were forced to do karaoke? What's a song that you know?
I always like doing "We Will Rock You" by Queen,
yeah.
just because it gets everyone else into
all
it.
ages too.
And I'm not a great singer, so and my friends can contest I'm not good at singing, but they'd have my back on that one because it gets everyone along and gets everyone into the crowd and stuff. So
what was your walkout song this year and why did you choose it?
It was "Reload." It was an EDM song.
Okay.
I did it in my past 2 years, and so I kind of just stuck with it for the last for the junior year. And so I always liked it. I thought about switching to a Johnny Cash song, but I did.
Okay.
I liked it.
Which Johnny Cash song?
I was thinking about Man in Black.
Okay.
Man in Black.
Absolutely. Yeah. Are you a YouTube guy / what's your favorite YouTube channel?
I don't really watch YouTube though.
Okay. What do you do in your free time? Then what kind of content are you bringing in? Or are you like a not a phone guy?
Well, so I mean, I try not to be on my phone a ton, but I do read a lot.
Yeah.
I read every day. I learn about investing, all that stuff.
Okay.
Sometimes in my free time, but I started picking up golf and pool this past year. So,
there you go.
Yeah, I picked up golf a couple weeks ago, and I played. So me and my buddy built a pool table, and or I helped out. I helped him build a pool table.
That doesn't sound that easy, if I'm being honest.
It's like it took a little bit of time, but it's not like crazy difficult. Like leveling the slate is super difficult on a pool table. But we did that, and my roommates helped out as well, and so we all built that together. And then we had that, so we should pool a lot.
Was that a in season kind of like relaxing project, or was that after your season?
We did it before. We did it in the fall.
Okay.
So
there you go.
Yeah, the fall we built it, so we had it throughout the fall, winter, season, and it was always nice to go to shoot a couple games and then do whatever.
Yeah, and the PO golf stereotype, man. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, my buddies were like, you got to get into it. I was like, okay, I try it, and it's fun. I'm not very good, not yet, but I'm gonna work on it. So
a couple more questions here. What do you think the best French fry is?
I like waffle fries.
Okay,
I like waffle fries.
Absolutely,
that's the first one that comes to mind.
Yeah. Second to last question here. Best M&M flavor. It seems like there's like 20 different M&Ms now. Have you found one that's any good or any better?
You mean like peanut or like pretzel? Yeah, pretzel.
Type, I suppose.
Pretzel M&Ms.
Underrated.
Those are good.
Yeah.
You
really
can't
good.
find them often, and they're really good.
So. Yeah. I'm a pretzel guy myself. So last kind of question here is, who's your personal baseball GOAT and why?
Greg Maddux.
Yeah.
I love the way he went about the game. He really truly is like one of the first that kind of talked about tunneling and talked really about like harping on the mental side of the game, and I think that was super interesting, and I kind of took a lot away from like listening to him talk, and I always like watching his highlights and stuff like that.
It's a dang good GOAT right there.
Yeah,
man.
he's pretty good ball player.
I don't know. I'm sure you've heard of him back home. Do you want to shout out your social medias now, just so people can know where to find you?
My Instagram is jmitro4. And my Twitter is just JustinMit4.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.